There are three different types of costs that take place when we purchase residential real estate. We have your prepaid items, your down payment, as well as the closing costs. We'll talk about each of these in detail. We'll start with prepaid items. Prepaid items are costs that we encounter before the buyer takes title to the property. Your main prepaid items include your earnest money check, typically $1,000, your inspection, which is about $350, as well as your hazard insurance. Now, hazard insurance is not included in a townhome or condominium purchase. That would be a part of your association. A final prepaid item would be an appraisal, typically $400. Now, sometimes the lender will pay your appraisal for you up front, and then you'd be required to pay it at closing in the closing costs. But for now, we'll call it a prepaid item. Now let's talk about your down payment. The down payment is really your initial equity position in the home. When purchasing residential real estate, there's really only three options for a down payment. You have your zero down mortgages, your FHA mortgage, as well as your conventional mortgages. We'll talk about each of these. Let's start by talking about your zero down mortgages. If you're a veteran, you could apply for a VA mortgage. That would be the only true zero down mortgage. The other type of zero down mortgages would be if the down payment is gifted from a relative, or if the down payment is gifted from a non-for-profit organization like a government agency or a traditional non-for-profit. The only real true zero down mortgage, though, would be a veteran's mortgage. The best first-time homebuyer product out there, non-gifted funds, would be your FHA mortgage. This requires a 3.5% down payment. There is mortgage insurance, but it's typically less than what a conventional mortgage would be. And funds for FHA can be gifted from a relative. Finally, you could do a conventional mortgage. Now, the minimum amount down for a conventional mortgage would be 5%. There is mortgage insurance on conventional mortgages, and it's slightly higher than that of FHA. However, if you were to put 20% down or more, there would be no mortgage insurance. Also, the rates for conventional mortgages are typically slightly lower because the qualification is tighter. Finally, we have your closing costs. Closing costs are going to be your mortgage, your title, as well as your government fees paid at closing the day you take title to the property. Your closing costs will typically range between 3 and 5% of the purchase price. And keep in mind that closing costs can be paid by the seller. That is, you can negotiate the seller to pay up to 6% of your closing costs in most mortgages. Finally, when we talk about closing costs, notice how I didn't mention realtor commissions. Buyers do not pay real estate commissions. However, most companies do have an administrative fee, typically between $250 and $500. Now, that fee is part of that 3 to 5% closing cost we talked about earlier. Let's go ahead and summarize here. Again, we have our prepaid items, which are right around $2,000. We have our down payment. Again, you can go zero down if you're a veteran or if you can get gift funds from a relative or a non-for-profit. Otherwise, you should expect 3.5% down for FHA. Conventionally, you can go 5% or more. And then finally, closing costs is going to be between 3 and 5% of the purchase price. The closing costs, again, can be negotiated from the seller. Please feel free to call me or email me with any questions regarding this or any other videos that you see or any questions that you may have regarding real estate. As always, thank you for watching and thank you for your referrals.